the meantime, Val, do you, in addition to your mat, if you have some pillows or a blanket or any sort of props close by, and the other thing, if you'd like, because there will be quiet times during yin, if you like having soft music in the background, take a minute and set that up. It's totally up to you.
All right, get my pillows and blankets and stuff.
Okay, take your time.
Okay. Is one blanket enough?
You know, I actually have one blanket and two pillows, but that's because my hips are so tight.
Okay. Let's see. Camera. Thank you. We'll do 2 blankets. Okay. And I already have my blocks out. And anything else I need?
No, would you mind if you were to change? Do you mind if the camera angle changes a bit so that I can see you on your mat?
Absolutely. Let me move this.
Okay, thank you.
Here. And you can see my kitty now too. Lucky you.
What a beautiful room there.
Oh, thank you. All right, and I'm gonna put this up on here like this. Okay. All right.
And then Val, if you actually, it's no problem if you have your music on. If you want to mute, you can. If Sven comes on, I might have you mute so we don't have the music
Yeah.
going.
That's fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Well, I'd just like to welcome you all to today's yin class. Thank you so much for coming. I know that yin for some people might be a new or slightly different type of practice. So I want to take just a minute to orient you to how the class will go today. So yin is one of the quieter practices where we will hold our poses for a little bit longer than you might be accustomed to in some of your other yoga classes. But it's different than restorative yoga where you really just relax and everything's supported and comfortable. With yin, what we're doing is we're actually getting into our hips. We focus on our hips and low back, and we're getting into the joints and helping some of the tissue, the connective tissue, the ligaments and tendons around those joints to very, very slowly stretch and open. It's a little bit different than where the focus is on the muscles, using our muscles and stretching our muscles. In yin, we're going to focus on relaxing our muscles and feeling that slow stretchiness coming into our joints. So if you're here, if your intention, your reason for being here today is to really focus on that stretchiness in the joints, you're in the right place. The other lovely benefit from yin, because we are in the poses for a couple of minutes at a time, it gives us a chance to be quiet. We have a chance to settle and be still. And so it's a time, if you'd like to focus a little bit on your breathing, your intention, your practice, that opportunity is there as well. So let's go ahead and start at the back of your mat on your knees with your heels tucked under you and your feet together as close as comfortable. And our first pose today is going to be child's pose. So bring your chest slowly down to your thighs. And then if you're comfortable with it, take your hands back by your feet, resting your forehead on the ground. The first bit of yin is taking that 20 or 30 seconds to settle in to your pose. So if you're having trouble getting your bottom down to your ankles, go ahead and use a blanket or a block to hold you up. And if your shoulders really don't like reaching back towards your feet, you can have them at your side or reaching forward. And feel yourself settle in. As you settle in here, feel yourself letting go, releasing. And as you do so, you might choose to bring your focus to your breath. Breathing in, 1, 2, 3. Breathing out, 1, 2, 3. Breathing in and out. Sven, so glad you could join us. If you'd like, we have a couple, if you'd like, bolster, pillow, blocks, little music in the background. If you'd like, it's totally up to you. But we're just starting in a child's pose for a couple minutes. Often with yin, about halfway through, you may start to feel further release, further stretchiness. Just let yourself sink into this. Take a few more breath cycles here as we prepare to move into the next pose. The next pose is called tadpole. It may also be familiar to you as wide-legged child's pose. Start to get into our hips here a little bit. So from your child's pose, bring your hands forward. And then keeping your toes together, widen your knees as much as is comfortable for you, and then gently lower your chest to the ground. You may want to rest on your elbows. Many people love resting their chest on a pillow. And as you move or settle into your yin poses, in the beginning, aim for about 60% of maximum effort. Remember, we're working on those ligaments, tendons, the fascia. It's not super stretchy, and so we want to move very slowly. You have any sharp pain at any time, you want to back off a little bit, come out of the pose and readjust. And as you settle in, return to your breath. You may continue to breathe in, 2, 3, out, 2, 3. Another way to move your breath is to adapt a breath meditation from Thich Nhat Hanh. Breathing in, I calm myself. Breathing out, I smile. Perhaps you breathe in your intention. Breathe out, I smile. Breathing in and breathing out. And 3 more breath cycles here. And we'll move a little bit more into our hips, going from tadpole to half frog. So from where you're at right now, pull your hands back towards your hips a little bit. Look down at your knees and imagine a line going from your left knee to your right knee. What you want to do now is to rock forward, bringing your hips towards that line so that your hips are kind of right above that line between your knees. And now go ahead and drop forward onto your elbows and arms. This is going to be a hip opener, so you might want to let your knees fall apart and wiggle a little bit, moving your hips either forward in front of that line a little bit or back a little bit until you find that place that feels about 60%. This might be a really good place to put that bolster underneath your chest, giving you a little bit of support here. Again, aim for that 60% because we will be here for a couple of minutes. So find what works for you. If it's uncomfortable having both arms forward, you can bring one arm back. If your shoulders or neck are uncomfortable, you can also use your hands and kind of prop your forehead up with your fists. And as you settle in, return to your breath. Breathing in, 2, 3. Breathing out, 2, 3. Breathing in and breathing out. It's okay to move around during this, and if you want to add a bolster halfway through, please do so. We're about halfway through. If you're looking for a little bit more intensity, if you feel like your hips are opening up a bit, you can take this into full frog by moving your feet out so that they're more so that your feet are closer to the edges of your mat. It is also perfectly fine to stay in half frog where your feet are together. And settling into your breath again. 3 more breath cycles. And when you're ready, gently push your way back into tabletop. Bringing your knees together. And perhaps here you might do a couple of very gentle cat-cows, wiggling your hips side to side, kind of readjusting. Okay. If you're using a bolster now, you might move your bolster to your side near the back of your mat. We're going to go into shoelace next, which is a good hip opener. You may recognize it from a cow face pose. Take your right knee, lift it over your left calf, and very slowly, very gently with your hands, push yourself back so that you end up sitting on your sitting bones. Bolster, pillows underneath your bottom can help a lot if your hips are feeling a little bit tight to start with. Gently wiggle your feet forward as much as feels comfortable. Again, aiming for about 60%.
So is that bolster going on
under your bottom?
On top of your calf and under your bottom?
So it is under my bottom. It's lifting my hips because in this posture, you want the hips to be rolling forward just a bit.
Okay, but you're not putting the bolster on your other leg, right?
No, you don't. No,
okay.
At this point, I just have the bolster under my hips.
Okay.
However, if the top knee is feeling tight or uncomfortable, take a bolster or hip to provide some support for that.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah, and because that whole like Marchasana thing is really hard for my legs to do.
Then you know what? It is. So there's a couple of things. Yeah, the bolster lifts up your hips, and then if it's really, if you're having trouble with the bottom leg, you can always straighten that bottom leg and start there.
Okay.
And then a pillow or a bolster underneath the top knee.
Okay.
And this is really typical for yin, where you take the first minute to adjust and find what's going to work with you. And then only after that do you start to settle into the quiet. So this transition time is an important part of yin, finding what works for you. And once you're there, Val, as you start to settle in, again, returning to your breath, you can have your hands out to your side or a little bit in front of you. And as you start to release, you can fold forward at your hips into a bit of a forward fold. It's also just fine to stay upright here. How's that feel, Sven? Well, you're on mute. I'm assuming you've got a good.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Did that work out? Okay, good.
I can't usually do this crossover thing with my leg, but in this one I really can. That's some nice support. So I can even move forward. So that's really great. Thank you.
And the nice thing about yin is that if you can find a comfortable place and then be there for a couple of minutes, almost always you'll feel that sense of a little bit of release. So once you find your shoelace, return to your breath. Either counting 1, 2, 3 in, 1, 2, 3 out. Or perhaps you breathe in your intention and exhale, I smile. Breathing in and out.
What was that? Thich Nhat Hanh?
It was. So Thich Nhat Hanh, I mean, one of his most well-known meditations is breathing in, I smile. No, breathing in, I calm myself. Breathing out, I smile. And often I will adapt that and breathe in my intention for the day and breathe out, I smile. You can really play around with that and find a rhythm that works for you. We'll be here for one more minute. Three more breath cycles. And when you're ready, coming back up to an upright position, taking that front foot and unwrapping a bit, perhaps moving that left foot over to the left side of your mat, perhaps twisting a bit your torso, and then rolling forward, finding yourself back in tabletop again. Oh, wiggling out, shaking out whatever you need, gentle cat-cow. We're just taking 3 breaths here. And we'll do shoelace on the other side now. So lifting from tabletop, lifting the left knee, crossing it over the right calf. And ever so slowly, gently rolling yourself back onto your hips. Trying to have your weight evenly distributed between the left and right side. And again, this side may feel very different than the other. Bolster under your hips can help. If the bottom knee is uncomfortable or hurting, straighten that leg out. Feel free to prop up the top knee or thigh with another pillow or bolster. And then once you've settled in, you can slowly hinge forward at your hips if that feels good today. If not, perfectly lovely to stay upright as well. And again, as you settle in, return to your breath. We'll be here for 2 minutes. If you're folding forward at this point, you might find it comfortable to rest your chest on another bolster. Val is resting her head on a block. That type of support can be really helpful as you release. And 3 more breath cycles here. When you're ready, coming back up to a vertical position, moving slowly. This has been a deep stretch. And gradually unwinding, taking that top leg and bringing it over to the right side of your mat. Like a slow twist. And then ever so slowly finding your way back again to table. Let's take a little break before we go to our next one. If you'd like, go ahead and tuck your toes and push back into a down dog. Stretching out your back, dropping your knees, coming back down into table with your hands under your shoulders and your knees under your hips. And then perhaps dropping your elbows and coming back into child's pose with your hands either forward or reaching towards your heels. And then back into table. Okay, keeping our focus on our hips today, our next pose is called swan. It may be very familiar to you as it's called pigeon as well in flow classes. To move into swan, take your right knee and move it forward in between both hands. And your right foot then passes by your left hip. If you have, if you'd like to today to bring that foot forward, flex the foot, point the toes of that right foot towards your knee, and bring that foot forward alongside the mat. However, if your hips are feeling a bit tight, and mine certainly are today, it is also just fine to leave that right heel back near the left hip. You want your weight distributed evenly between the right side and the left side. And most of us have a hard time getting that right hip down to the ground. That's not the goal here. Keep that right hip supported with a pillow, blankets, bolsters, whatever you need to feel balanced between the right side and the left side. And once you've started to settle in there, let's take a minute in upright swan. This is both a hip opener for the front hip and a good stretch on the left quad, also on that left hip. Wiggle a bit and find the stretch that works for you. If you move forward a little bit, if you move your hips forward a little bit, you may find the stretch feels a little different. And as you settle in, again, return to your breath.
So I have a question about the hips.
Yep.
So you're saying kind of balance the weight in between the left, kind of the knee, and the right knee.
Yes, it's so that I think what a lot of people might do, Sven, the tendency is to try and bring this right hip to the ground.
Oh, okay.
And when you do that, I don't have any weight on my left side.
Right.
So trying to keep my weight evenly distributed between right and left. And when I do that, I'm like, oh, my hip is way up here. That is okay. I'm just going to support it.
Well, I think I was mostly like bringing my awareness I think I got balanced in my legs, and then I brought my awareness up to my hips. And I noticed that as I kind of tried to put more energy into my left hip, it almost like opened a little bit, like it was more of like level, like are the hips supposed to be kind of more level, really?
You should feel an opening.
An opening in the left hip, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay. And that's kind of balanced with the closed support of the right hip.
Right. It's like the front of the left hip is opening and the outside of the right hip is opening.
And then when you say like upright, because what did you call it? Not pigeon, you called it swan?
So the swan is when you're upright like this.
Yeah.
With your hands at the side. And we're going to move now into sleeping swan.
Oh, okay.
Where you bring your
hands. We'll have
hands.
a lift in the Uddiyana Bandha, right? I mean, we're still like lifting and extending.
Exactly. Yeah.
Although
they don't give as much direction around that I've seen.
Oh. Okay.
Yep. I mean, I'm sure it exists, and you can certainly practice that way. As you move forward,
just like what you were saying, with 60% effort. I didn't know. Like, I'm kind of like, does that mean I'm like mostly just focusing on my hips and my thighs, kind of rather than my chest?
Yes.
And I'm letting my chest relax. So I'm not really
exactly. Yin is almost all about the low back and the hips. The chest is relaxed.
Okay,
it's about getting into those deep connective tissues in the joint. Val, I see that you've moved forward. Let's go into sleeping pigeon, and we can keep talking, Sven. So as you move your hands forward, again, supporting your chest on a bolster can feel good. Coming down onto your elbows can feel good. And really with yin, they say, if you're feeling it, you're doing it. So everybody's going to feel a little bit different here. And again, a chance for quiet, a chance to return to your breath. While we're here, I'd like to read an excerpt of a beautiful poem by David White, where he talks about silence. In silence, essence speaks to us of essence itself and asks for a kind of unilateral disarmament. Our own essential nature slowly emerging as the defended periphery atomizes and falls apart. As the busy edge dissolves, we begin to join the conversation through the portal of a present, unknowing, robust vulnerability, revealing in the way we listen a different ear, a more perceptive eye, an imagination refusing to come too early to a conclusion, and belonging to a different person than the one who first entered the quiet. Okay. From here, with your next breath, gently push yourself back upright. Take that right leg back, meeting the right foot, meeting the left foot, and pushing yourself up to a down dog. Forward into table. And then letting your hips back, drop back into child's pose for 3 breaths. Pushing forward to meet me in table. And we'll move into swan on the other side. So taking your left knee forward in between your hands, bringing that left foot over towards the right hip. And if you'd like, wiggle that foot forward towards the hand as much as feels comfortable to you. You might tuck your right toes, lift your right knee, and move that knee back a little bit. Find the right combination of bolsters or pillows underneath that left hip if you need to. Oh. Hands out at your side. As you settle into swan and return to your breath. With your next breath cycle, slowly lowering yourself down, perhaps onto your elbows. Your elbows can be on a bolster, or perhaps you fold all the way forward into sleeping pigeon. Sleeping swan. And returning to your breath again. Out of the quiet emerges the sheer incarnational presence of the world. A presence that seems to demand a moving internal symmetry in the one breathing and listening, equal to its own breathing, listening elemental powers. To become deeply silent is not to become still, but to become tidal and seasonal, a coming and going that has its own essential character, like the background of the sea, or the rain falling, or the river going on, out of sight, out of our lives. And 3 more breath cycles here. When you're ready, slowly, slowly pushing yourself back. Taking that left leg, unwinding that left leg, taking it back to meet the right. And I will meet you in down dog. Take your time, moving slowly. Perhaps walking your dog out a bit, shaking your hips side to side. lowering your knees to the ground, and then meeting me on your belly. The next pose that we'll move into is a nice low back stretch called Sphinx. There should be no sharp pain at any time with this. If you have sharp pain, please come out of this. Start with your elbows under your shoulders, and with your right hand clasp your left elbow. Left hand clasps the right elbow. You might move your elbows an inch or two in front of your shoulders. And you can pause here. You can stop here. If you'd like, you can rotate your hands out so that they're parallel straight in front of you with your fingers extended. Perhaps pressing into the ground and ever so slightly pulling the front of your mat back towards you. This is really about your back, not so much about your shoulders. If this is uncomfortable on your back, you can widen your shoulders or widen your elbows a bit and lower your ribs to the mat. So settle in here. If this is too intense on your shoulders or neck, you can also just pull your fists in together underneath your chin and prop your head up almost as if you were 5 years old watching the Saturday cartoons. It's less about the shoulders and more about the low back. If you're looking for a more intense stretch on your back, you can bend your knees or widen your feet a bit. Settle in and return to your breath. Breathing in, 2, 3. Breathing out, 2, 3. Breathing in and breathing out. And taking 3 more breath cycles here. With your next breath, hands down to the ground and gently push yourself back to child's pose. Again, moving slowly. These yin postures, you always want to move slowly in the transitions. And after a couple of breath cycles in child's pose, coming back up to tabletop, and if it feels good, perhaps a few cat-cows, arching your back like a cat and letting it fall like an arch. Like, always imagine the Golden Gate Bridge here. We have one more asana or pose to do today. And this is, dragon is really a classic yin pose. It's one of a good hip opener. So meet me at tabletop if you're not there. From table, bring your right foot forward in between your hands and wiggle your foot forward until it's directly below your knee. And then if you're able to, slide the left knee and leg back. So you start to feel a stretch on the inside of that left hip. It is perfectly okay if you don't move it back, but find your 60% there. If your knee or ankle hurts or is uncomfortable in this position, you can put a blanket under that left ankle or knee, or you can even elevate the left shin on a bolster, and that takes the pressure off of the knee and ankle completely. Go ahead and pick up that right hand, bring it to the inside, so both hands are inside the right foot. And start to settle in. Return to your breath. And with each exhale, feel just a tiny, tiny little bit more of a release in those hips. If you'd like, you can gently move or wiggle your right knee towards the side of your mat, opening up a bit. Perhaps that feels good, perhaps not. And as you release, you may find that you want to bring your elbows down on a block or a bolster. Returning to your breath. We'll be here for one more minute. If you're looking for more intense stretch, you can lift that left knee. Or choose to leave it down on the ground. Okay, 3 more breath cycles. And to come out of dragon, take that right hand to the outer side of your right foot now so that it's a little bit wider. Ready for down dog. Take that right foot back to meet the left, and I'll meet you in down dog. And then from there, drop your knees and drop back into child's pose. Again, everything is slow. With your next breath, pushing back up into tabletop. And we'll move into dragon on the other side. So bringing that left foot forward now, in between both hands. Gently wiggling it forward so that you find it, the left foot directly beneath the left knee. Tucking your right toes and slowly moving your knee back if you'd like. Finding your 60% edge. You might move that left foot out towards the left side of your mat, bringing your left hand to meet the right hand so they're both on the inside of that left foot. Perhaps you let that left knee fall out to the side a bit. Settle in and return to your breath. With each exhale, you might feel just a bit more of a release, and you might find yourself supporting your elbows with a block or bolster, or even coming down onto your elbows on the ground. You'd like a little bit more intense stretch, go ahead and tuck your toes and lift that back knee. And 5 more breath cycles here. Perhaps breathing in your intention, breathing out a smile. With your next breath, taking that left hand to the outside of the left foot and slowly pushing back into down dog. Wiggling your hips a bit if that feels good. Dropping your knees and coming back into child's pose. Our final asana will be Shavasana. And there is no one right way to do Shavasana. I'd like you to find a super comfortable, relaxed position where you can just let go. You might lie on your back with your bolster underneath your knees with your knees bent. You might want to do legs up a wall. You might want to stay in child's pose. Anything goes. And once you find yourself in your Shavasana, legs up a wall is also a great one. If you haven't done that before. Your hips go back to the wall. You turn to the side. And your legs just go up the wall. But find your Shavasana and settle in. Start to let go from the top of your head. Let go through your shoulders and arms. Let go through your torso and hips. Let go through your thighs, calves, and feet. Feeling heavy. You might imagine that there's a magnet underneath your house that's just drawing out everything you don't need to take with you the rest of the day, leaving you feeling just a little bit lighter. Let go of the focus on your breath as you move into a place of complete peace and quiet and rest. As you prepare to return to the studio, perhaps you might wiggle your nose a bit, move your jaw from side to side, wiggle your fingertips and toes, perhaps circling your wrists or ankles. Coming back from this delicious rest. And when you're ready, slowly roll over onto one side, but move as slow as you've ever moved, as if you're moving through honey or molasses. Slow, slow onto your side and pause there. And then when you're ready, gently press yourself back up to find a comfortable seated position. Taking your hands out to the side, grabbing all this wonderful deliciousness from the class today, bringing it back into your center so that you can take it with you. And I'd like to say thank you for joining me and practicing together. It's so wonderful to practice with a community of yogis. Thank you so much. You have an absolutely beautiful evening. Namaste.
Thank you. That was so very beneficial.
Oh my God, you guys, thank you so much for being my
that was
guinea
really
pigs.
great. I really enjoyed that so much. That was pro, man. That was so pro. Like that was lean. That was trim. That was like, yeah, that was a pro class.
Hey, thanks.
I love the tone
You
of
know
voice.
what? I
I love
miss
the way
my
you softened your voice over the class period. Like you just got softer and stuff. Like it's like you were going deep with us. That was really cool.
Really? That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. And I love I actually almost wish you would use the Thich Nhat Hanh, or like I love the like how you kept coming back to the breath, 2, 3,
Mhm.
to create that pacing. I thought that was really beautiful. But then I loved how at the end you would do your like affirmation, breathing in, I am this, or like you did a couple of different ones. I
Mhm.
really liked that. That like is almost like you were sending us into each pose as like a positive meditation. That was really cool.
Great. I'm glad you liked it. Thanks.
Yeah, that felt amazing, and I really loved the poem that you shared, and the counting the breaths. That was super helpful, and I agree, it's a super pro feeling class. I
Mhm.
only had two things that I thought I might mention. One was the frog pose.
Yeah.
I love frog pose,
I hate
but
it. Okay, help me out.
that was, I mean, I was thinking about that. Like when I was in it, I just wasn't sure if my upper body was doing what it needed to do. Like I didn't really feel it in my hips enough, and I think maybe if I was alongside the wide, my mat the other way, then my hips could go wider for that.
Huh.
I don't
I see
know.
what
I
you're
just
saying. So when you went in,
Yeah.
your knees were only as wide. I had only had you go as wide as your mat. I didn't have you go wider.
Yeah.
Got it. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was what happened there. I'm not sure. Just you might want to play with it, but it was still really good and instructed really well. And my other thought was I love dragon pose. It's one of my favorite poses. I think you did fantastic explaining it. My wrist, I don't know if I'm just weak in the wrist, but I felt like I just needed like a little like shake the wrist out or turn them backwards for a minute or something.
That's a great idea because your weight can really be on that, especially if you lift that back leg. Those are both really helpful tips. And Val, it's so interesting thinking about it because frog has got to be one of my least favorite poses ever. So when I'm practicing on my own, I will never do it. And so part of the reason I tossed it into this class was I'm like, you have to try something new. But it's interesting because I don't know the modifications as well. Now that you're saying like, what is my chest supposed to be doing? It makes me realize, yeah, it's a new one for me that I need to spend more time with to be able
Well,
to really.
I thought that was really interesting, your answer on the chest about leaving it and really focusing on. I like that. But I guess also like maybe because I think I hear what Val is saying, like if I had like some wrist issues going on, because the transition is going from tabletop to then a wrist heavy. And
Mhm.
what if maybe is it possible to use like Virasana to come back into Virasana or something like that, rather than tabletop on ones that we just like came out of drag and come back into Virasana and like
That's a
rest
great
them
idea.
out? I don't
That's
know.
a really good
I've
idea
never even.
too.
I don't know.
And Sven, that's a great idea because I
Or you
think,
could say if your wrists are hurting.
yeah, and the only reason I went back into tabletop so often is because the getting into the next posture, I was able to like memorize from tabletop. Okay, from tabletop, this is what you do.
No,
But
and
recognizing
I
that it may
actually
not be the best transition every single time.
no,
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah, but maybe it is. I mean, I personally prefer that. Like, I love that flow from tabletop doing the undulation of the spine and then shifting forward into one and then coming back all the way into child's and then back. I love that. In fact, I tend to skip down dog and just go
Mhm.
from child back and forth. But so that's what I was thinking. It's still really like I think that's really cool. But maybe just saying like if your wrists are hurting, you could choose
Mhm.
Virasana instead.
So Sven, you're saying
I
you
don't know.
like to go just from tabletop back into child's back and forth?
Yeah, I just skipped down dog every time. I just followed you through
Oh.
child's pose because that just I feel like when I go into down dog, I get all aggro.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
lose my yin, and I'm gonna try to get my yin. I want to get my lady back. You know what I mean? I want to get my moon
I
back.
like the feel in the
I want that
hips
moon right in
though.
my heart. You know, I don't want it shifting anywhere. I want it singing to me. You know what I mean? No, but
that's
dog.
really interesting about that sense with down dog. And I think you're right, Sven, because in the yin classes that I've been in, I don't know that they go into down dog, but as I was reading a little bit. They said, oh yeah, coming out of dragon or that transition with dragon, oh, down dog can feel so delicious. So I'm like, okay, let's give it a
I think
try.
it can be.
Felt
I think
amazing.
a lot of people
on my
love it.
knees.
I think it's great.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you offer the options. So if you'd like, go back into down dog, shift back into
Yeah.
down dog, or perhaps
But that's just because I
child's.
think personally for me too, my body, when I go into down dog, it's like Krishna and Arjuna on the battlefield, man. It's not comfortable, right? It's like going to war. So I think for Val, she just does it like honey, you know what I mean? And so maybe that's cool.
Yeah, it felt nice. Like it was a release from everything to go back into down dog. It felt incredible.
But I did feel like the progression really like kept me in my inner body and with my spine and the rising and falling of my spine a lot, even when I was forward. Then when I was in dragon, it was about the rise and fall of the spine, and then back into tabletop in the same in child's pose. And I thought it's like what I think it was Kimberly was talking about, micro progressions. I love that word.
That's a
Hold
good.
on,
It's a good term.
What did Deborah say here? Child cat, cat tilt floor.
Oh yeah, the twist.
Well, oops, I'm echoing. Never mind.
So let's see the child. So from child into from child keeping the cat lift, coming forward, then a gentle twist to each side.
Yeah.
And then reverse the cat back home. Ooh.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's just delicious. I love that little twisty thing in there, like that. What's that called? Where you shift one shoulder like more upward and then back, and the other one upward and back. So you're kind of doing this like it's almost like a bend this way.
Yeah.
That's so delicious.
Yes, the other thing that I would that I learned in this class too, that I would pass on to both of you if you ever end up teaching yin. So it's interesting because as I put the class together, I had the little intro, but then I was going to take a little bit more time to help people set an intention and do a little breathing before we moved right into child's pose. But of course, I was a little nervous, and so I totally skipped it. But what was super interesting is that while you were in child's pose, Val, I was able to do a little bit of that and sort of kind of fill that first silence, so to speak. And it actually worked out better. I remember, I think it was Don Silva when he taught us yin a couple of years ago. He said, be prepared for those quiet, like let people have their quiet, but at the beginning, especially, you might want to help them feel the quiet as they settle in. So it actually worked out better to do that. Hey, you might try this breathing meditation while in child's. I wasn't sure about actually doing it with your shoulders hunched over, but it seemed to work fine.
I loved it. I thought it was great. And child's pose with your knees in can be a really difficult position to breathe in, especially for people who aren't used to it. So I felt like you led us through that really well, and it felt great.
Right.
I agree, especially for when you've got a little bit of a belly. Not saying that I have a belly, but maybe maybe a guy might have a belly.
Yeah.
And so in that case, it is like more comfortable. I like the spread apart child's pose.
Well, you guys, I am just so grateful to both of you for showing up on a Sunday afternoon and letting me practice my teaching with you. It's really a pleasure having you both in the training right now.
My God, that just changed. You blew my mind.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, you changed my practice. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
It was excellent, Kathleen. You are making such an amazing teacher, and I am excited for how well you're just doing and going. And every time you teach anything, it's so natural and beautiful. So you have a natural talent.
Oh,
I love it.
Thank you so much.
I learn from you every time I take your class.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
All right. Have a wonderful evening. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you, Debbie.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.
As I said, I'm on here twice, so it was just echoing. I couldn't do it.